The deep woods of North Carolina are a place of beauty and mystery, where towering pines and ancient oaks create a canopy that seems to hold its own secrets. But beneath the rustling leaves and whispering winds lies a world that defies explanation. From shadowy figures that vanish without a trace to disembodied voices calling out your name. The woods have an uncanny way of drawing you in and reminding you that you're never truly alone. These forests have long been the backdrop for chilling tales of the unknown, the eerie mimicry of something pretending to be human, a mournful whistle that echoes throughout a valley, a spectral black hound said to guide lost souls. And then, of course, there are the legends of a massive, unexplainable creature that lurks just out of sight. Whether it's the strange, the cryptic, or the downright paranormal, the woods of North Carolina hold mysteries that challenge the limits of our beliefs. In these shadowed depths, you never know what you might stumble across, or what might stumble across you. So tread carefully, my friend, and remember, the forest is watching. Stay tuned with us now as we explore mysteries of the deep woods, North Carolina's haunting encounters. The following story took place along the North Carolina-Virginia border near Sparta, North Carolina. A father and his 12-year-old son were fishing. It was a quiet evening, with about 30 minutes of daylight left. They stood in the middle of the river, downstream from a bridge off Farmers Fish Camp Road, near a bend where the river turns northward. Suddenly, the peaceful atmosphere was shattered. A noise unlike the man had ever heard before filled the entire valley. In his own words, it sounded like people were being unlocked, combined with some of the most unusual guttural growls he'd ever heard in his entire life. The man froze mid-cast, just standing there, all of his senses on high alert. His son was close by. He was scared. They both just stared at each other, the hair on the back of their necks standing straight up. The sound seemed to originate 300, maybe 400 yards to the east, which went near a small valley leading directly into the woods. It reverberated for what felt like an entire minute before abruptly just stopping, leaving the river valley in an eerie silence. I mean, nothing. No birds were making any noises, no rustling leaves, nothing. Just absolute silence. The only sound being made was the river itself. The father, trying to maintain his composure for the sake of his son, resumed casting his reel and very slowly started moving toward the boat ramp. His son followed without a word, nothing being said. Both of them just kept edging closer to safety. Once back at the truck, they finally allowed themselves to just take a deep breath. Now, that evening, they both searched the internet for the sounds that they'd heard, but nothing came close. Nothing. The father, a two-time Iraqi war veteran, he had experienced fear before, but nothing like this. He had hunted and fished in those woods for well over 30 years. He knew the sounds of the area. This wasn't a bobcat or any other familiar animal. Though neither one could even say what they thought it was, they just knew that they were left with a very unsettling thought. What if it was something entirely unknown? Or just maybe they had an encounter with Bigfoot. The following took place in the 1970s in the Eerie National Forest, which is located in Montgomery County, North Carolina. On a crisp autumn day in the 1970s, two seasoned hunters ventured into the dense expanse of the Eerie National Forest. It was a clear, cool day, perfect for tracking game. The men, both familiar with the forest terrain, planned to hunt separately, but remain within earshot of each other. Hours passed uneventfully until one of them failed to return to their agreed upon meeting spot. The remaining hunter, growing anxious, began to search, calling out his friend's name, and to his relief, he heard a reply. But something was wrong. The voice was off somehow. It sounded distorted, almost hollow. It echoed strangely in the forest, as though coming from every direction. Despite following the sound, the hunter never found his friend. Instead, he was left with the unsettling sensation of someone or something watching him. When the hunter finally emerged from the woods alone, he recounted his bizarre incident to authorities. A massive search effort was launched, involving volunteers, search dogs, helicopters, but no trace of the missing hunter was ever found. Now, over time, this story has become somewhat of a chilling legend. The locals whisper of something in the woods that, well, it has the ability to mimic human voices, all in an attempt to lure you deeper into the woods. Now, some dismiss this completely as superstition, but others avoid the area completely, unwilling to risk encountering whatever may be in those woods. All we know now is that that missing hunter's fate remains unknown. His disappearance in the Uri National Forest remains an unsolved mystery. In the dense woods near Corolla, North Carolina, locals speak of a mysterious figure known as the ghost hound, described as a massive black dog with fiery red eyes. As a ghostly presence, this spectral creature has been both terrifying and a comfort to those who have encountered it. The legend dates back to colonial times with stories of the hound appearing to lost travelers or those who were in need. It's said to emerge silently from the shadows, its glowing red eyes piercing the darkness. Despite its imposing appearance, the ghost hound's intentions are always good. Witnesses claim it guides them to safety, skillfully navigating the treacherous terrain before vanishing as suddenly as it appeared. While the hound is a symbol of protection, its sudden and otherworldly presence, it tends to leave a lasting impression. To this day, visitors to the Corolla Woods often tread carefully, hoping to catch just a tiny glimpse or avoid the startling gaze of the ghost hound. The following tale of terror unfolded in the summer of 2017 within the rugged wilderness of Linville Gorge, North Carolina. Known as the Grand Canyon of the East, this remote and breathtakingly beautiful area became the scene for an eerie and unforgettable encounter. Two backpackers, both avid hikers with years of experience, had decided to spend a weekend exploring the Linville Gorge, the trails, the stunning vistas, everything. As the sun dipped below the horizon on their second night, they set up camp near a secluded overlook. The forest around them grew silent, except for the occasional rustle of leaves and a gentle breeze. Then, just past midnight, an unsettling sound pierced the quiet. A slow, melodic whistling, unlike any bird or animal they'd ever heard. It seemed to echo through the entire valley. Its source was impossible to pinpoint. At first, they just dismissed it as the wind playing tricks. But the whistling grew louder and more deliberate. Circling their campsite, it was as if someone or something was watching them from the shadows. The two hikers were gripped by an unease. They decided to pack up and hike back toward their car, using their headlamps to guide them, yet the whistling followed them, relentless, unbroken, every time they stopped to catch their breath. The whistling grew nearer and nearer. Their unease turned to outright fright when they noticed fresh footsteps, larger than a human's, and it was on the trail directly behind them. By dawn, they'd finally reached the vehicle, exhausted and shaken. The whistling, well, it stopped just as abruptly as it had begun. To this day, the backpackers are unable to explain what they heard that night. Locals believe it was the whistler of Linville Gorge, a ghostly presence said to haunt the entire area, luring the lost and weary deeper and deeper into the wilderness. Whatever spirit or something even more sinister, the whistler remains a mystery, leaving those who hear its haunting melody forever marked by the memory.